Hello and welcome to another video on the channel. Today I am back and I am playing more blue-black mid-range in Standard. I've been loving the format right now, loving this deck even more. This might be one of my favorite decks of all time, really in any format. Fairy Mastermind is just such a fun card, as is all the flash stuff. Kaito just feels so powerful. You still have Shieldred, you have Preacher, you have all the best removal. Feels like you don't flood out that much, and I'm pretty confident in saying that this is the best deck in the format. All the matchups feel great. But yeah, let me just go through the list real quick, and then I will jump into the first league. So the last time I played this deck, I was only on 1 Enduring Curiosity, 2 Shieldred, 2 Urtai, and a couple Gix. I have since amended that. I do believe that Enduring Curiosity is an incredible card. And 3, I think, is the right amount. I still have 1 Shieldred, 1 Urtai, and then an additional Shieldred in the sideboard. Very good in the aggro matchups. And I do like it quite a bit against Up the Beanstalk and Caretaker's Talent. Preacher of the Schism, I believe to be the best 3-drop, so I'm running 4 of those. 2 Kaito, which is just an incredible play to get you ahead early or finish out a game. At its best with Spyglass Siren, but works well with a lot of the other cards in the deck as well. I have 3 Go for the Throat, 3 Cut Down as just kind of premier cheap removal and kill anything removal, and I have 2 Anoint with Affliction, up from 1 in some other lists I've been trying out, just because it's great against the aggro decks, hits most stuff out of the other mid-range decks, and it is much better than Go for the Throat and Cut Down against the mono-white decks, which have been performing very well. It's a clean way to get rid of Enduring Innocence. I've also since switched over, since I'm not running Gix anymore. I'm definitely happier with Fountain Port over Mirex. Great with Preacher, great with Spyglass Siren to just draw some extra cards. Nice that you can have the blockers, nice to make the treasures sometimes. But yeah, usually just the first ability on it is a big upgrade from Mirex. Now I have 4 Restless Reef. I think that card is just incredible in this deck. 3 Underground River. Don't like taking damage. 4 Darkslick Shores, 4 Gloomlake Verge, 4 Island, 4 Swamp. Pretty stock mana base. Let's go over the sideboard real quick. Oh, I also have the 1 of Gix's Command in the main deck. It's pretty good against red. Okay in the mid-range mirrors, but pretty good as well against mono-white as just a way to finish out the game, even if they get kind of a large board presence. Moving to the sideboard, I have 2 Negate over Disdainful Stroke and Duress. I'm running the Negate because against the decks that like to tap out for Wraths and other big non-creature spells, if you Duress that card, and they have 2 of them, it's still a good trade for you, but you're not getting the insane tempo advantage that Negate would give you if you were able to just, they tap out, they spend 5 mana, you spend 2, and that's a huge win for you, a huge tempo play, and you usually can just win the game from there, especially if you are already attacking and drawing extra cards with your Preachers or your Curiosities. I have 3 Tidebinders right now. I think Preacher is at its worst against the mono-white deck as well as the Zur Overlord deck. Counterspells can also be just mediocre there because they have the Cavern of Souls, so I like Tidebinder more because it's really good against Overlord of the Mistmoors and the other ones as well. Counters a lot of relevant triggers. I have a 4th Cut Down, a 3rd Anoint, a 2nd Shieldred. These are just for aggro. I have Withering Torment as more hate for the mono-white matchup, so I have a lot of stuff for that. Aclazotz for aggro and mid-range. This sometimes in aggro, depending on play draw, as well as what their sideboard looks like. So for game 3, maybe I'll take some of these out. And then Ghost Vacuum for really the blue-white deck, and any other random Reanimator stuff. We see Withering Torment is great against mono-white, and I do bring it in against the Demons decks as just kind of a catch-all removal that ends up hitting the Annex too, if that's something you need to end up doing. Well, that pretty much covers it for the deck list. So let's just get into the games. I am here for round 1. I did neglect to say this during the intro, but part of the reason I'm playing so much Standard now is for the Magic Arena qualifier this weekend, which I'm hoping to record as well. And I'm probably locked into this blue-black deck. It just feels so much more powerful than everything else. I've tried a lot of other stuff, but keep coming back to this. Love the deck. Very fun and very good. So on the play here for match 1, game 1, let's get into it. All right, starting off with a pretty good hand. 2 Kaitos is a little bit unfortunate, but I have a 1-drop and the cut down into a Deep Cavern Bat, so definitely keeping. And we will see what my opponent is on. This hand definitely could be weaker in certain matchups, but I'm really liking cut down right now. In the meta, there's just a lot of the mono-red aggro, and then against Zur, it catches Zur, which anytime you can kill a 3-drop with cut down, you're feeling pretty good. That's another reason I'm not on the slashers, the unstoppable slashers, and I'm playing the Preacher of the Schisms over it, is every time I play the mirror and I play against unstoppable slashers, I just find that I'm able to tempo them out very well by just having cut downs available on their slashers. So even if I'm getting outvalued, in the long term, I'm making up that value by drawing cards with Curiosity. And just killing them, really. But my opponent is on a mulligan to 5 for the first game, and they seem to be playing some kind of aggro deck. So it looks like it's going to be Convoke, so I'm going to definitely kill the Warden on turn 1, and then I will go for a Bat, hopefully take their turn 2 play into maybe bounce the Bat and take something bigger later, and it looks like they are just going to scoop it up. So very fast game 1, but mulligans happen. Let's see what we can do in the next one. For sideboarding against them, I have the Gix's Command main deck. Usually this has been in the sideboard, but the cards I don't love are the Kaitos, as well as maybe a couple Curiosities. I'm a big fan of Shieldred, big fan of Malicious Eclipse, of course, big fan of Aclazots as a stabilizer. Love the Preacher of the Schisms. I think I do want a cut down. Maybe don't need another Anoint with Affliction. It's not necessarily the best matchup for 1-for-1 removal. So let's start by taking out these 3, and then maybe trimming on a couple Fairy Masterminds. It's just they're not really drawing cards ever. I have not looked at their sideboards for a while, but I think it could be right as well to just go as control-y as possible and just board in a couple Tide Binders for a Fairy Mastermind. And let's just board out all the Fairy Masterminds and board in a couple Tide Binders. And do I want a Kaito? I'm thinking maybe I want a Kaito just to start getting some card advantage, but I think it's pretty bad. I think I will rock with this. Let's submit and go to game number 2. Opponent on the play. Pretty scary with that deck. Don't know if they're red, white, or Jeskai. I think the majority of people are playing Jeskai, but not everybody. This is a bit of a slow hand, and I don't have anything. Well, I have a removal spell on turn 2, but after that, not a lot. Although Preachers do a pretty good job stabilizing, so let's hope they have more of a Warden draw, and this 1-for-1 removal is going to be good, and I can get a Preacher online and win with that. So opponent is on a mulligan to 6, and is starting off with a Novice Inspector. So not necessarily the start we want to see to get the most amount of value out of this Anoint with Affliction. The scariest thing, of course, would be them going in for the Gleeful Demolition into, like, the turn 2, like the nut draw, essentially. All right, that is one I'm okay to Anoint. So if they just have 1/1 drop here, that's really not too bad for me. Maybe they have a bit of a slower hand. Maybe they board in more removal. Swamp is a very nice find here, as it means I'm going to be taking less damage. Let's just main phase Anoint that, because I really don't want them to tap all their stuff and play a Knight Errant. They do play an Urabrask's Forge, but honestly, I've found that Urabrask's Forge isn't great against me. I'm going to start by playing out the Preachers. Had I had that Phantom Interference, I definitely wouldn't have anointed with Affliction, but didn't have it yet. Gonna start by playing the Preachers, because they do a pretty good job of blocking, and if my opponent does use their removal on the Preachers, then later I can Tidebinder this Urabrask's Forge and just start taking over the game that way. Opponent plays a land, cracks a clue, so pretty good for me. If they're cracking a clue, that means they're mostly out of gas. They don't even attack. Wow. There's no reason not to attack with this. I mean, I would definitely have blocked it, but still no reason not to attack. So let's start off by getting in there. Make a 1/1 lifelinker. Seems pretty good on this board. Not incredible. Doesn't block the Novice Inspector nor the token from the Urabrask's Forge, but Preacher just lines up so nicely into Urabrask's Forge, as does Tashana's Tidebinder. One of the reasons I bring it in. I think I'm just going to run out another Preacher here. And yeah, doesn't seem like they had an answer to the first one. Seems like they do have a Resolute... Oh, don't know what that is. Reinforcements here, but they don't, which is even better for me. We'll see what they do have. They could go... Teams really wants to open. They probably have just the 5-drop, yep, training some troops here, which is fine with me. Can definitely beat that, even if the Imidane's Recruiter comes down next turn. Yeah, and I can just keep getting in here. After this, I may want to take a little bit more of a defensive position. But with the counterspell up and the removal spell up and a couple chump blockers on the way, I can just try and get as much value out of these Preachers as possible. In this matchup, you do want to be getting the 1/1s most of the time, unless you're like out of gas, but that doesn't happen that often. It's more about not dying. So if they go for making more tokens or playing more cards before this Imidane's Recruiter, it's possible I can get off a nice Phantom Interference on it. If not, it's really okay. I'm not taking too much damage. I can chump something. I can double block another thing, gain 3 life, kill something else with the Go for the Throat, and have Phantom Interference for any follow-up. So in a very good position this game, and this match in general. And once I hit another land, this Aclazotz will most likely just close out this game. Opponent is flooding out very hard, too. That's, what, 1, 2, 3, 4 spells and 6 lands that I've seen so far, and they're not even playing the Imidane's Recruiter yet. So that's all right with me. Not doing anything here. Convoking a Knight Errant. Okay, I think I just let this happen. That's fine. I'd rather play the Curiosity this turn than Tidebinder it. And wow, a very bad hits off of it as well, hitting 1 Clockwork Percussionist. Now they go for a 2-drop, which is going to kill 1 of my Preachers. Again, I'm just going to let this go. Rather save the Tidebinder for the Forge. And probably slam a Curiosity here. Well, let's think for a second. It's a worse use of my mana. Yeah, I let this go. That's fine. All right. So they will sacrifice their thing. Let's flash this in, losing a life, unfortunately. Find a Spyglass Siren. So I can get in with the Curiosity to try and draw a card. Or I can just hold everything back and wait for the Alpha Strike, which probably has to happen. Probably that good time to Tidebinder this Urabrask's Forge and just stop it from getting value, although they don't really have a ton of trample, so let's just get in with the Curiosity and maybe draw a card, be pretty happy with a trade, and be pretty happy if they don't block, and pretty happy, honestly, if they chump, too. That's another creature out of the way, helping me get better blocks. So they do end up going for the chump block, which also I'm pretty fine with that. Do need to start finding lands a little bit, but I'm still doing all right here. Might be good to just crack a map on this now. Maybe I do it on the Preacher to give it better blocking, or I could do it on a Vampire just to gain some more life. I think I'll do it on the Preacher to give myself better blocking if I don't find a land here. Let's see what it is, and I think I'm just as likely to want to go for the Throat as Tidebinder this next turn. Again, I'm still not under a ton of pressure, even with a big Alpha Strike coming up. Again, if they do find a couple things to do, so they have a Novice Inspector. So if they, let's say, play it, crack a clue, and then play something else before the Imidane's Recruiter, I have enough mana to counter it, even if they just crack the clue first. But let's see what they are going to go for. So they crack the clue, and now if they go for the Imidane's Recruiter, I can just counter, which really stops a lot of damage being pushed. They're just going to combat, though. So I will take 5 if that is what is in store for me this turn. Just accept that. 5 damage coming through. And nothing. So on the end step, I will kill the big guy. Get that out of the way. Now I am at lower life than my opponent again, so I can get in with the Preacher and make more tokens. Don't really need to hold it back to block. Again, doing pretty well on board. So let's just apply some pressure here. I will leave back the Curiosity. I don't really need to block, and I do kind of need to make sure I don't die. Don't really want to do the math. Think I'm very far ahead this game, so I'll just play it a little bit safe. Would like to keep finding lands here. So get to draw 2 cards, which is a good amount of cards. There's a land and a Spyglass Siren. So let's play the Siren. Let's map up a Vampire token. See if we can grow it. Nope, just find a land. That's okay too. See what my opponent does. If they go to combat without playing the Imidane's Recruiter, I will just counter the Forge trigger, but it looks like they're just going to do nothing. So I am pretty happy to take the win. With what we had on board, I don't think it was really over for them yet, but was very unlikely for them to win. I will see you in the next one. I am back on the draw for match 2 with a pretty bad hand. 6 lands and an Urtai. Not what you want to see. Urtai's good, but not that good. This hand is much better. Got 2 Fairy Masterminds, an Enduring Curiosity, 3 lands, and a Phantom Interference. I'm just going to put back one of the Masterminds to give myself the most availability of things to do, have at least a little interaction. In some matchups, the Mastermind is probably better than something else. Also could have considered putting back a land, but I think I want to try and hit my 4th land. So playing against probably blue-white, maybe white-green enchantments. Kind of a scary matchup, as they can go over the top pretty quickly. But with this start, they need to have a lot of big stuff and ways to protect this. Feather of Flight to draw themselves a card and put a counter on it. So they have a 3/2 flyer now. and are getting in for 3. So they're making it pretty big so far, and I don't have any spot removal, which puts me in a rough spot because you really need to be able to get your 2-for-1s when you can, when they play an Ethereal Armor, when they tap out. This does make me think they don't have a Shard Mage's Rescue, or maybe they just really needed to hit that 3rd land. Okay, so they are getting in, and so I could flash in the Fairy Mastermind and try and block, and the upside to doing that is that the only thing they can really have is a Shard Mage's Rescue or a Counterspell, which if they do either of those, I'm pretty okay, because then if I draw removal, I'll have an easy way to kill this, and if they just play a Shard Mage's Rescue this turn, they won't be able to play the 3-mana card. If I go for a Fairy Mastermind at end step, however, they can just play the 3-mana card in response, so I think we'll just play the Fairy Mastermind now. I'll go to block. If it works, I'm happy. If it doesn't work, I'm not too upset. Okay, so they're letting me block, which means no removal spell, no counter spell, and they're letting it go through, which, again, I'm okay with. Probably correct for them to just slam an Entity Tracker now, but if they hold it up and try and do it on my end step, I'm pretty happy to go ahead and Phantom Interference it. Let's see what they're going to do. No play, I'm also pretty happy with. Draw a Preacher. So I don't think there's a reason for me to slam the Preacher, because the way I lose this game is that they get an Entity Tracker going, and that's really what they're representing here. I'm definitely the control deck in this matchup as well, so no reason to force aggression. If they do nothing here, I'm also pretty happy. They just, I mean, maybe I end up doing nothing with my mana, but they also did nothing with their mana, so all in all, it doesn't work out too bad. They do go for the Entity Tracker, so let's just counter this. Really cannot let that one get going. Hopefully, not too much more in hand for my opponent, but we shall see. Have this Gix's Command as kind of a nice way to get around a Shard Mage's Rescue later in the game. But the way they've been playing, it doesn't seem like they have it. They could, though. If they do nothing again here, maybe I want to play the Preacher, but that's pretty bad into another Entity Tracker being flashed in. Inquisitive Glimmer is probably the worst creature in this deck, into a Silent Hull Creeper. Okay, so a couple things for me to try and kill. And playing an Ethereal Armor onto the Silent Hull Creeper. So nothing in hand now for my opponent. I'm just going to pass, try and get a nice block on the Glimmer with my Enduring Curiosity, untap and hit a nice Gix's Command, and hopefully win the game. They are going to be able to draw a card here, though, which is unfortunate. Playing a Grand Entryway. Okay. So they make a 1/1, which really doesn't do much here. And are they unlocking the room as well? They are unlocking the room. Let's see where they put the counters. They put one there, so both of their creatures that can attack this turn. So now I think I will just... I guess it did make their thing pretty big. I think I will just play the Fairy Mastermind in response to them drawing a card, because I really do need to hit a untapped land now, so that just gives me an extra look at it. Kind of wishing I played out this Preacher, but I think overall it was the better play to hold up the Curiosity. So let's see what they choose. It is draw a card, so let's play the Mastermind. They draw a card, I draw a card. All right, find a cut down, which is not the best here. Can I find removal? Cannot find removal. So I think that just spells defeat. No removal and no land means this Silent Hull Creeper just kills me. Maybe they draw a card. So I guess I'll just pass to them. Maybe they draw a card and I get lucky, find a removal spell, but pretty unlikely. All right, they attack. I mean, no blocks. Yeah, just going to die there. I mean, no spot removal is pretty brutal against them. Definitely want the cut down. Just having the removal spell on turn 1 is good here. Definitely want another Anoint with Affliction, just as much spot removal as you can possibly get. Kaito, I think, is pretty bad here, as is the Enduring Curiosity. But as much interaction as I can get is still going to be good. So let's bring in the Shieldred, as it can block pretty nicely, and maybe a Withering Torment to kill some of the more annoying enchantments. I mean, I think they play the Enduring Innocence, so maybe I want to board in Malicious Eclipse, but they were on the Inquisitive Glimmer, which kind of tells me they're not going to have a ton of things, and they can kind of just grow their stuff out of range of that pretty quickly. So let's just go with this and hope it works out. All right, do get to be on the play here. And another 6 lands and 1 4-drop hand. Not going to do it for me. Gonna keep this one. Not the happiest about it, but I have spells that I can cast, and I have more than one spell that I can cast. Opponent also goes to 6, and we'll see if they keep 6 or go to 5. They keep 6 as well. So let's start on a Restless Reef and pass the turn. They start on a Restless Anchorage, so tapped land from them is fine for me. Hoping they tap out for a 2-drop, so I can go 3-drop, kill their 2-drop on end step with my Go for the Throat into play a 3-drop. We will see what they do, though. It's going to be a 1-drop and nothing, so if I do this and I go to kill this, they Shard Mage's Rescue, and then I play a Preacher, and then they play a Sheltered by Ghosts. That interaction just isn't great for me, so I think I just take the untap and pass the turn. I can afford to play this a little bit slower, though. Again, like I've said, I am the control deck, and they're really not putting a ton of pressure on me yet. Just realized now, the list I've been running has a couple of the Flood Pits Drowner in it, and I completely forgot to put those in today. So usually I think I would have a little bit less removal and an additional Flood Pits Drowner, but not right now. So they're getting in for 1. We'll see if it comes up. That's definitely a card I'm considering cutting. A lot of people have been playing it. And I played it a bit in testing. It's a solid card. Definitely better in some matches than others, but definitely not a bad card. Okay, so let's see where they put the trigger. Putting it on the Scavenger itself. I think I'll just kill that and go for a Curiosity. Next turn, let's try and stop their creatures from getting big, even if they are able to get a little bit of a mana advantage. Being stuck on 2 mana, but having this Inquisitive Glimmer, I do generally think the Optimistic Scavenger is just a little scarier. Okay. So it doesn't look like they found a land because they're not slamming it. They go to combat. I will flash this in to go for a block. Playing into maybe a counter spell, a combat trick. I'm okay with this trade. I get to keep the enchantment side of Enduring Curiosity anyway. So counterspell was the thing I was most worried about. Removal spell. Okay, they're going to Feather of Flight pre-combat. So their thing gains flying, they draw a card, and I'm taking 3 damage here, but I do have this down, and if they don't find a land here, I'm pretty far ahead, I think. We'll see if they could have... Oh, no Sheltered by Ghosts either. Okay, so this is shaping up pretty well for me. Their draw seems pretty just bad, though. So is mine. I mean, what is this? 7 lands, 4 spells. Is not ideal, but I am going to get to start drawing some extra cards with this Enduring Curiosity. So hopefully that helps out a bit. Find a swamp. Really not what I was looking for, but going to play the Preacher and pass. I can start activating this Reef as well. And yeah, pretty bad draws from both of us, but eventually Screw will beat Flood. There's the 3rd land, which is pretty scary, especially with this Inquisitive Glimmer. They find an Enduring Innocence, which honestly is not too scary for me now. They get in for 3, but they don't really have great blocks. I could get in with this Restless Reef, probably not going to, because I am drawing quite a few cards here, and I'd like to be able to put more onto the board. So let's just start by getting in. Like to find some more interaction. Gonna get to make a 1/1 with the Preacher and draw at least 1 card. We'll see if they chump. Unclear what the play is. I don't know if I would chump there. Probably. Stops me from drawing a card. You kind of want this dead anyway, because then I can't anoint it. Definitely would have blocked the other one, though. I don't know why they blocked the creature with less power. But they did. So I'll take it. Find yet another land. Wow. And play a Spyglass Siren. And I suppose crack the map on the Lifelinker. I will keep a Phantom Interference. It's just, as soon as they draw a Sheltered by Ghosts, I'm just so dead. There's not much I can do, but they have not found it. There it is. There's the Sheltered by Ghosts. And getting my Enduring Curiosity is going to be pretty bad for me. Probably going to lose here. Although they're not getting a ton of damage in still. Only 4, and I'm going to start gaining a bit of life back. So let's play a land. Activate the Reef, I suppose, and just get in for as much as possible, holding up this counterspell. I'm gaining some life back as well here, and this Preacher will start to take over the game still. So with not much going on over there, I guess this is still fine. Let's mill them for 4. Unlikely to come up, but we shall see. They really need to start adding a lot more to the board. Okay, put them down to 9, go up to 11. Let's see what they can find. Milled a Plains off the top of their deck, but then 3 non-land spells. So they are tapping 3 mana for an Entity Tracker, which I'm definitely just going to counter. So able to stay pretty far ahead here. Now is the time I really need to find a removal spell. just right off the top, still have found, what is it? 5 spells and 10 lands? 6 spells, I guess, with the, no, 5. 5 spells, 10 lands is not a good look for me. There's an Anoint with Affliction, though, and that, I believe, is just game over. So, let's do this. I will pay the ward cost. Definitely. I don't know why they just tapped out for an entity tracker. But yeah, now I get that back, so I'm drawing 4 cards here and winning the game. All right. So I'm pretty happy with the way I boarded. Could maybe board in Aclazotz, but I think I'm just going to keep this how it is. On the draw for game 3. Hopefully don't flood out as much. Hopefully opponent doesn't get screwed, and we can just have a classy, normal game. So this hand is a little bit slow on the draw, and with no removal, might be a little tricky. Let's see what they did. They kept 7, but it's one of those hands where it's hard to mulligan because you just have a solid curve, but at the same time, it's hard to keep because it just doesn't do the right things in the matchup. Especially on the draw. On the play, this is an easy keep, but I mean, play draw in this format just matters so much. I think I will keep it. Hope to find some removal and just, yep, have a solid curve. Let's enact my game plan. They are starting with the turn 1 Optimistic Scavenger, though. Pretty darn scary, and I'm finding a land. Timer just went off for me to go change my laundry, so as soon as this match is over, I'll be going to do that. But let's try and finish it up first. Not a big rush on that. All right. They go for a Gremlin Tamer. Okay. So hoping that they're pretty flooded as well, and, well, maybe it's correct to just hold up this counterspell here, because if they go for a 3-drop, it's pretty good for me. If I play the bat and I run into removal, that could be pretty bad. And if I'm just letting them resolve enchantments, it might just be in my best interests to just try and not let anything make it to the board and start getting them these triggers. All right, so they attack for 3 and pass the turn, which screams Entity Tracker. I find yet another land. I think now I'll just go for the Deep Cavern Bat. It resolves. Do they flash in their Entity Tracker in response? I think I'm pretty okay with that. I definitely have to kill that one, but... Alright, let's see what they are working with. Wow. Oh, that's a good hand. So, probably just have to take the removal spell. Or I guess I could take Fey Flight, too. This is whenever an enchantment enters. And just, yeah, cut down whatever they sheltered by ghosts, not even let it enter. I think I have to get a little crazy and try and do that here. All right, they just go to end step. So I'll just untap. That's a go for the throat, which is pretty nice. So let's just get in for 1 and play the Preacher. And again, if they try to Sheltered by Ghosts, I just have the cut down. They drew another Entity Tracker. That's fine, as long as I never let an enchantment resolve. So yeah, let's do this. And pass the turn. No entity tracker, also fine with that. The scariest thing would be like a 1-drop, or if they drew a Fey Flight. Yeah, gotta go for this. You got it. You probably got it. And they got it. Dang. Yeah. So it gains Hexproof. They gain a life, draw a card. Boom, 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 boom. Everything is happening all at once. I'm taking a bunch of damage. They're gaining some life. I can go for the Throat It. So I'm not just dead yet. And if they find a couple lands or just some stuff that doesn't do anything, then that can be okay. And they're really stacking everything up on that. So yeah. Overall, this isn't the worst for me. Okay, they're putting at least one counter on the Gremlin Tamer. Makes sense. I would think you would want to diversify it a little more. But I'm taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 9 damage, going down to 3. And untap. Find another Phantom Interference, which really doesn't do anything. I can kill this one. Can pay the ward, but just any enchantment kills me, right? Well, any enchantment kills me unless I hold back with the bat. I go up to 4. Yeah, so let's hold back with the bat, I guess. Don't want to die to like 90% of their deck, but this one's probably over. Little unfortunate. They found the right stuff at the right times. But, well, that's not an enchantment. That's maybe a Gremlin Tamer. That's an enchantment. Okay. So, most likely dead now. Gonna have to chump a Gremlin token. Wow. And need to top deck Gix's command or nothing. Well, you know, could always top deck Gix's command. Crazier things have happened. I think I put myself in a pretty good position to try and win this game. Think I played well, but not a lot I can do against them finding specifically, well, I guess a lot of enchantments. Any flash enchantment would have done it. Most other enchantments too. They're the enchantments deck. They play a lot of enchantments. Okay. So I can block... I want to block the Gremlin Tamer and just chump. And that way I can put counters plus kill all their creatures if I top deck Gix's command right now. Don't top deck Gix's command. All right. 1-1. Usually win this matchup, but, you know, didn't find any removal game 1, and game 3 was medium draw. Wanted to mull that hand, but didn't. See you in match number 3. Laundry is in, and it is time for match number 3. Starting off with a pretty bad hand here. Just no blue source with double Siren, Phantom Interference, and Enduring Curiosity. Probably not good to keep a hand where you can only cast one spell. So let's send it back. Look for something a little better, and this is something a little better. I think I want to put back probably just the 4-drop. Gonna be a little bit hard to cast this game, maybe. Yeah, we'll just go with that. On the draw here for match number 3. Let's see what we're up against. Blackleaf Cliffs could be... You know, I'm really not sure what deck is running Blackleaf Cliffs right now. Maybe I've just forgotten about something really obvious and I'm going to get surprised in a second, but I don't think there's a lot of black-red running around. Maybe some strange Reanimator deck. Okay, so if it is a Reanimator deck, they probably have a few ways to loot, so I think I'm just going to keep up the Fairy Mastermind. Maybe save the Bat for after they've played a removal spell. Don't really want to run it into a cut down here, especially when they want untapped black land into tapped black land. That just screams cut down. Okay. I will let them duress me. There's one take here. They're stuck on 2 lands, so let's just never play into cut down, because, you know, that's funny. And yeah, why would I if I don't have to? Let's say they tap out to kill this Preacher, then they can no longer kill my Bat. Like, maybe I can just land a Bat and take the cut down without them ever getting a chance to use it. It looks like that's what they're going to do, so go into the next turn, play this Bat, see what they're working with. It is a cut down, like I said, as well as 2 other 1-mana removal spells, so maybe not the best thing to take. I think I'll just take the Case of the Stashed Skeleton and hope they torch the tower over cut downing this Bat, and I'll try and get this Curiosity going in a couple turns. Let's just take away their ability to do anything with this Beseech for now. And, like, play a 2-mana card next turn. They're gonna get it back, but hopefully not quick enough. Well, I guess, yeah, if they draw land here, this was probably the worst play. Should have just taken cut down to force them to use one of their Torch the Towers. They're not playing the Case, though, which seems strange to me. Alright, I find a Restless Reef, so I'll just pass the turn. Beseech the Mirror is real scary here. Okay, they're running out the Case of the Stashed Skeleton. Which means... So if I play this Curiosity, they can torch the tower right now. So I guess I'll just cut down the skeleton and then play a Fairy Mastermind. And they immediately go for Torch the Tower. At least it looks like, yeah. Okay. Find a Kaito. So that's a pretty good draw here. Let's just get it down. And start applying pressure with it and drawing cards, because this is going to do a lot more damage than the Enduring Curiosity. And possibly tap stuff down. Would be a little bit unfortunate if they top deck another land and are able to Beseech the Mirror into Demonic Pact. But I have a couple turns to try and find an answer. Definitely happy I have those Withering Torments in the board, as well as the Negates. But we'll see what we can get done this game. Hopefully not even going to have to worry about it. Hopefully I can find a counterspell. And they play another Case of the Stashed Skeleton. So, still not solving their cases, which is pretty good for me. Let's go ahead and just attack. Alright. And Surveil 2. Find Anoint plus Shieldred. So, don't really want the Anoint. Let's put that into the graveyard and put this on top. And just slam a Shelly. Torch the Tower doesn't do anything to it. Again, hopefully they're not able to Beseech the Mirror. I do really like Case of the Stashed Skeleton with the harmless Demonic Pact stuff. Probably a little too slow for Standard, but you never know. Alright, so they're going to get to kill my Kaito here, which is a little bit annoying for me. Oh, they don't see it. Or maybe they do. Definitely should have done this before end step. These cases are not going to be solved now. Torch the Tower's gone, though, so I can get this Curiosity down, let's just go for a bat. Hopefully getting one of these Beseech the Mirrors out of hand. Okay. So Beseech the Mirror could just be a Greed's Gambit anyway. So let's just take that and pass. Leave them with the Harmless Offering. Okay, they find that, so they're going to slam a Greed's Gambit here. I'm going to play a Fairy Mastermind in response. And they draw 3, gain 6, make 3. I find another Mastermind. They have no suspected skeletons. They do have to discard a card, lose 2 life, the whole shebang. But I really have no answer for Harmless Offering giving me a Greed's Gambit. They discarded a Blackleaf Cliffs. Okay. I mean, I guess that's, in a way, an answer of just going larger than it. And sack a creature, lose 2 life, and discard a card. If I have no cards in hand, what does that really do? So we'll just pass. And I can start fountain porting to have creatures to sacrifice. They can crack their cases now, though. Okay, so they're giving me the Greed's Gambit. Which, yeah, it's gonna happen. And sacking a case, possibly. Are they going to attack? They've seen this Curiosity, so they know that's waiting for them. I assume crack a case. All right. So pretty scary stuff going on here. Going to lose some creatures. I need to start killing them quickly is really the idea. That go for the throat on my Shieldred is probably what ended up being the breaker here. Of just, that was like all my pressure. So let's play out all the stuff. This is sacrifice a creature. Okay. Play out all the stuff. Draw a land, which isn't great. Let's get in with these 3. I guess 4. Doesn't really matter if they get their Beseech back now that they've basically tutored whatever they want anyway to play. Okay, so they're blocking both Masterminds, taking 6 damage, or 5 damage, and I draw 2 cards. Let's play a Reef. Activate this now. And sack a fish token and discard an island, I suppose. Yeah. So far, this is doing pretty good for them. See if I can tempo out a victory here, though. Really needed to find, what, like a counterspell here as well? Or another bat, maybe? Kind of surprised they didn't block the bat. Which I guess means it was a good attack. What are they playing here? Brotherhood's End. Okay. Can't Beseech this turn. Are they going to crack the second case? Maybe play a Demonic Pact? No, does nothing. Okay, double Fountain Port. It's going to put in work here. I can activate both of them, too. Alright, I'll discard a swamp and lose 2 life. Opponent beseeches the mirror, sure. So they can get a 4-drop or less and cast it for free. They're getting another Greed's Gambit, and then, yeah, they're going to give it to me. Okay. That's probably it. I don't think I can beat 2 of these things. Right? Or passing it over. Okay. Yeah, I'll scoop to that. Alright. So, Tidebinder's looking incredible here. Negates looking incredible here. Cutdowns looking bad. Withering Torment looking great. Aclazot's looking solid. Gix's Command probably fine, but maybe still a cut. Yeah, let's probably get this Gix's Command out of here. Get these Anoints out of here. Maybe even 1 go for the throat, keep 2. What else would I want here? Probably another Shieldred. And go down... I mean, let's just be aggressive. Be aggressive. Cut all the removal? That can't be right. Can't be right to cut all the removal. I guess I would still have 2 Withering Torments, an Urtai, and the Tidebinders. I'll leave 1 go for the throat in, and also cut a... I think they just go over the top of Aclazotz, so I guess an Aclazotz. Yeah, having Withering Torment here is real good for me. And I can't imagine this is a bad matchup for me. Draw didn't line up incredibly well. But I just have so many ways to stop what they're doing. Okay, not a great draw, but Fountain Port plus Spyglass Siren, and I have a negate, so let's try it out. Maybe should have thought about this one a little more before keeping it, though. All right, pass to you. All right, they play a Restless Vents. I will draw. Wow, getting very flooded today. I think I'm going to hold the map to try and Fountain Port away next turn, in case I don't find anything. All right, they're just passing. Which, okay with me. Let's get in with the Spyglass Siren. They are probably wanting to Wrath me next turn, so let's just play a Fountain Port. Try and draw a card, maybe get a 1-for-1 removal spell off. If they're not using their mana, that's pretty good for me, though. Alright, sack a token to draw a card. Wow, Fountain Port is great. Find 2 more lands. That's too many lands. In case you couldn't tell, I didn't want to draw this many lands. Let's play Gloomlake Verge, play another Siren, and just attempt to do the same thing this turn. Maybe they Wrath me here, maybe they go for a Demonic Pact, which I probably have to counter. And then I'm just out. I'm out of gas. Cruel Claw's Gift. They get a negate? Sure. Oh my god. That's what you gonna do? I have 5 lands in hand, have drawn 3 spells this game, and this has kind of been the theme of the league so far. Haven't even been doing poorly, but have been getting very flooded. Do have the Fountain Port to draw an additional card here, so that's not going to be the worst thing. Let's rock with it. Draw a card. Okay, there's another Spyglass Siren and a Deep Cavern Bat. So let's get in with these two. Play an island. Play a Spyglass Siren. And attempt to either draw another card or make a fish. There, go for the throating a Spyglass Siren. What an odd game. What a, like, strange game. They're doing nothing. I'm doing nothing. Nobody's doing nothing. They tap 4 for a Demonic Pact. Okay. I will draw a card. Sacking this token. Find a bat, which is not the worst draw. Let's go to combat. Get in. Draw 2 cards here. Okay, bat. And let's see if we can, well, do I even want to nab a Wrath here? Do I want to just try and make them lose the game with their own Demonic Pact? I think I'm okay to just pass here. All right, they are going to, I mean, target opponent discards 2 cards, really does nothing this game. That's essentially just a turn off of getting Demonic Pacted. I don't even know how good this Demonic Pact is. So far it's a 4-mana enchantment that's drawn them 2 cards, but I guess it's really the pressure of losing the game that matters. Opponent is tapping 2 mana to... I assume they would have played a Wrath if they had one already. When I had 3 Spyglass Sirens rather than playing a Go for the Throat. But who knows what's going on in their mind. They have that negate as well, which I have to be wary of. Molten Collapse, that one's fine. Into anything? Nothing? Nothing. Okay. Sure thing. Good with me. So let's start by getting in with the Spyglass Sirens. Draw my 4th bat. And an Urtai. Okay. So pretty good draws all around. Let's play that and run out a Preacher. And just pass the turn. Don't have lethal next turn, but it's going to be pretty hard for this. Sure. Demonic Pact to not just lose them the game here. I can counter. Okay, they deal 4 damage to my bat. And they play a Case of the Stashed Skeleton, sure. Okay, so I'll give that to them. And they find another Cruel Claws heist. Do I care? Yeah, I do care. So let's do this. And I'm going to have to find something because they can case. to give me the Demonic Pact, which is kind of unfortunate the way that works out. It's a Fairy Mastermind. That don't do it. All right. Let's get in Island Tidebinder. That one will do it on my upkeep. So, or I guess it'll do it when they try and tutor for a Demonic Pact. Let's take Beseech. Beseech. And pass. So all the Beseeches are gone. And they have a case of the stashed skeleton. I'll discard a bat and a land. They play a land, so not worried about that. Let's just counter this, trigger, and have them lose the game next turn. Pretty funny stuff. Okay. So flooded out insanely hard, but Curiosity still getting me there. Looks like they had still not a single thing for me to target with a removal spell, so don't even think I want that. Maybe I want... I don't know, it's possible they Cruel Claws Heist a Shieldred or something like that, so I guess we'll keep in and go for the throat. Or a Manland, something along the lines of that. Let's get into game 3. Didn't get to the point where they actually did die to their Demonic Pact, but they were going to, and that's what's important. Alright, a ton of spells in this hand, which is kind of what I've been missing so far in these matches. They start off with a Raucous Theater, keeping 7, and I'm probably going to start off with this Restless Reef. Sometimes I like to go turn 1 Siren into tap land and crack the map, but I don't think this is one of those times. I guess I don't really have to counter stuff on turn 3, but on their turn 3, it's more turn 4 that I'm worried about, so, and I do need to hit a land, so let's do this now, actually. There's the case, so they're starting to set up. Do I want to crack the map now and play a tap land, or do I just want to hold up my stuff? I think now it's going to be all right to hold up stuff. Just get in with this and not let them resolve anything good. Can Fairy Mastermind end step. Have this go for the throat, which isn't really doing a whole lot. But yeah, I have some counter spells. So hopefully those are enough to get things done later in the game. Alright, they get in for 2. Fine by me. Let's let them go to end step before I play this Mastermind. And just pretty much slam it. Boom! They are slamming the kill spell on it. Makes sense. Fairy Mastermind is a great card. I will untap, draw, find a Spyglass Siren. Can't really play it here. Really need to hold up counterspell for their turn 4. Is really when stuff starts to get scary for me. But let's see what they play. They did play a tap land, but untapped land into Beseech the Mirror is pretty scary, or just straight up Demonic Pact. Also losing the race, which is notable, but not really that important right now, I don't think. Probably go for the Throat This Skeleton on end step. Makes their Beseeches a little bit worse in the future, as they have one less thing to sacrifice. And they are going for Brotherhood's End. Wow. Sure. I think I'm just okay with that. Let's play this and try and hit some lands now. Find one. Likely they have another Brotherhood's End, but I'm fine to run into that. Let's play another Siren and a tapped land and pass the turn. Didn't have a land last turn. They can tutor for one now, right? This gets any card. Yeah, otherwise they'd have to reveal it. And I know for a fact they don't because they haven't been. This match is really going all the way. But it seems like their draw hasn't been phenomenal here. Mine's been pretty solid. They are going to crack it. Finding a land, I presume. But hopefully I can find another land, an untapped land, so I can Preacher plus hold up Phantom Interference and just start getting ahead on board very quickly. Yep, looks like they found a Blazemire Verge. Otherwise, I imagine they would have played a 4-drop there. Okay, so they're going for the Cruel Claws Heist, which really isn't that great here. They could take a removal spell and they get a removal spell. They could take Phantom Interference and it doesn't really work well with their mana situation. They could take a Preacher and then I have a Go for the Throat for it. So yeah, not great options for my opponent here. We'll see what they take. So opponent ended up taking my Preacher, which was my best proactive play, but left me with both counterspells. So I do have some stuff to get around what they're doing. Now with that pickup, I can start by cracking a map. Let's just try and find some more action. Do I want a Tashana's Tidebinder? No, I don't think I do. And I think I'm happy enough to crack another map here. And do I want to negate? Yes, I do want to negate. Let's get in for 4. Start playing the control game. Opponent is possibly still stuck on mana a little bit, which is making that Preacher in their hand not great. Also, I have just a Go for the Throat for it. They do have a 1-turn window to cast another Brotherhood's End and get rid of these 2/2 flyers, which are kind of carrying me to a victory this game. But we'll see if they do that, or if they slam a Preacher, go to slam something else that I can either just kill or counter. They are playing Demonic Pact. So I can just counter that, and it trades 1 for 1 before they get up to like 6 lands. So let's do that. They also know about this counterspell, which makes it a bit weaker. Although Phantom Interference does make up for that quite nicely compared to some other 2-mana counterspells just by having the ability to make a 2/2. And so even if you're paying 5 mana to tax them for 2 and make a 2/2, sometimes that's enough, especially in kind of a tempo deck like this one. All right, get to take my turn now. Let's get in for 4. Doesn't seem like they had any 1-mana removal, which they don't, so that's good for me. And if they tap out, I can just Urtai, activate Restless Reef. One of the reasons I love this card so much in this deck. Saw some lists running in Undercity Sewers, and just in a deck that's like honestly as aggressive as this one, I don't think that's ever correct. All right, so they run out my Preacher. Just gonna Go for the Throat it. What are they doing here? Destroy my Spyglass Siren. Yeah, let's negate that. And Go for the Throat this one. And yeah, just use my mana very efficiently every single turn of the game. That's kind of what this deck does. And pass the turn. Opponent, is this a Cruel Claws heist? No. Oh, it is. Okay. So I don't really want to counter that. Well, no, I do. Do I? Yes, I do, because I don't want to give them an Urtai. Don't want to give them a Wrath either, but do what you gotta do. Well, I don't want them to have a Wrath here, because that'll put me in a kind of bad spot, but it didn't seem like they had one based on the last couple turns, so able to get it done. 2-1 in this league. I will see you all in the next one. If you're enjoying the content here, you're learning something, make sure to subscribe and like the videos, and yeah, maybe hit the notifications bell so you'll know when I post another blue-black video. Again, I'm going to be posting a longer one with some competitive matches this weekend. So look forward to that, and I'll see you in match number 4. I am back on the play for match number 4. Let's jump into it. Wow, this is a pretty medium hand. No blue source is kind of rough. Only black spells for the most part, but no third land as well to get these creatures going. Been getting awfully flooded, so if I'm going with that logic, then I'll probably draw only lands from here on out, but I think I can do better. This is not better, but better than going to 5. So let's keep it and put back a cut down and hopefully draw some lands. Do have this map token to try and get one more look at it, but we'll see. Let's see what we're up against. This is a very bad hand to go up against black-green with. Enduring Curiosity is good, but gotta pressure him, gotta have Fairy Masterminds, gotta have counterspells. Okay, black-white something. So maybe the black-white, like, Unholy Annex deck. I don't think it's a terribly bad matchup for me. They go for a Duress, see my awful hand, and probably take a Go for the Throat. Don't know how this matchup plays out really at all. I do remember thinking when I saw the Alendas that their deck runs, like, wow, good thing I have those Flood Pits Drowner, but not running the Flood Pits Drowner, forgot to put them in. So, don't have those as an additional answer. And they have, wow, a ton of interaction. So, let's just take the bat, because that's the only different thing they could do next turn. Yeah. They play a Restless Fortress. They had 2 cut downs, so I couldn't have taken them off of having removal that turn. I do have a Go for the Throat that I can play on their bat next turn, though, so let's crack a map, play a Darkslick Shores, and... oh, should have got in for 1 there. We'll see if it matters. They end the game with 1 point of life and are alive, then that sucks. If I lose the game with them at 1 point of life, it sucks, but hopefully it won't matter too much. Just a little trigger happy on the clicking. Alright, they can Deep Cavern Bat here, and I can kill it. Or they can just go for a removal spell on my guy, which they do, but they pick the worst one. So that's the only one that can kill my Curiosity. So, fine by me. Let's untap, draw a card, and just pass. If they go for a bat, I'm pretty okay to just slam Curiosity in response. And we'll probably find a removal spell at some point. I have a ton in this deck. They just pass. Okay. So, no reason not to go for this. I know they have Anoint, Cut Down Bat. probably top deck like a Go for the Throat or something and are going to be able to kill this. But we'll see, and I can, I guess, get value off my map that way. Hopefully it's Get Lost. Get Lost is so bad. Okay, so this comes back, which is nice for me. And wow, that was a great draw. So let's play a Spyglass Siren. Let's map it up. Do I want to cut down? No, I don't want to cut down here. I just need to find more threats. Another Enduring Curiosity would be incredible. Hopefully they don't find a land here. Found a land here. All right, all right, all right. And cut down my Siren. Did they go for a bat? Or hold up mana? They go for the bat. I'm just going to flash in this Fairy Mastermind in response. Let them take my Go for the Throat. Guess it would have been nice to keep that cut down on top here, but they kind of have to either trade with this or I get to start drawing cards. So let's see what happens. Definitely need to attack here. Can't hold back when you got an Enduring Curiosity. Find a land, which is not ideal. But it's pretty unlikely they play the bat if they see that I have cut down on top of the deck, which would really just slow this game down. So yeah, it's going to turn into trading there. Let's play a land and pass. Not doing too good here, just because they have so many cards in hand, and presumably they're all removal spells. They play a bat, just going to Go for the Throat that now. Not really another option. Draw for turn. Find a Spyglass Siren. So not bad, but we know it's just running into the wall of removal they have over there. Let's put that one into the graveyard, as again, I just need to find more threats and ways to trigger this Enduring Curiosity and get ahead. But they just kind of have infinite removal over there, seems like. So they can anoint this. There it is. And anything else? Nothing else here. So find a Restless Reef, which ain't bad, but ain't great either. Really would have liked to find another Enduring Curiosity, or a Kaito, I guess would be my best draws. Are they going to just slam an Annex on me now? No, a Preacher. Okay. It's beatable. Let's just pass and hopefully able to counter something that they slam here. Hopefully it's not just a bunch more removal, but that's what their deck is, right? Just a bunch of removal. They're doing something pre-combat. Sheltered by Ghosts. Sure thing. So exiles my Enduring Curiosity, but now if I find a removal spell on that, I just get it back? Sheltered by Ghosts. What an odd card to have in that deck. I can also just block the Preacher. And I also have a counterspell ready for the Virtue. Let's see what they do. Put an Amalia into the graveyard. Amalia, wow. So they are an actual life gain deck. They're not just black, white, whatevers. Okay. Let's play this Shieldred, I guess. Yeah, sure. Hopefully they don't find removal here. That'd be such a shame. But let's see. Hopefully just land, slam Virtue, and I get to spend 2 mana to counter it. But yeah, this would be what? The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th, 6th removal spell if you count the Sheltered by Ghosts, which I suppose I do. They also get a double trigger off this Preacher if they attack, which is pretty darn good. Okay, looks like they're going to combat. And they are getting in. So they get their double trigger. Hopefully don't find a removal spell for this Shieldred, and I'm slamming off a trade here, because then I get an Enduring Curiosity back. They lose 2, which doesn't matter that much. Do we get to go to blocks? Do we get to go to blocks? We do. All right, sweet. Let's block. God, Sheltered by Ghosts. What a... Not really a great card unless you're the all-in Auras deck, or like an all-in aggro deck. Like, in the mid-range mirror, where like we're going to get to the point where the ward doesn't really matter, it's just not a good card to have. They find tap land, untap land. What you doing over there? They find a bat. Okay, go batty, I guess. Apologies. Yeah, you can have my Phantom Interference. Hopefully I find a cut down or something to get it back, although running a little low on removal compared to the amount of cards left in my deck. And what is their last one? Dust Animus. Sure thing. So definitely some odd cards from my opponent. Let's just get in with the Curiosity. Curiosity is the cat. I suppose I should have... They're probably chumping with the Vampire. Yeah, I probably should have just hit up that Restless Reef. Got in with that as well. Try and draw a card while I can. All right. Preacher of the Schism. Do I want a Preacher of the Schism? God, Bat was such a good draw there. They're going to have a Dust Animus. I think I put it into the graveyard, and I have to try and find an answer to this Virtue, because that's what's going to end up beating me. Yeah, definitely should have just slammed in with the Reef here. See what they do. I think if I draw removal, I'm using it on the Bat over the Dust Animus, because, like, I don't really care about that. Okay, they find a Preacher, which is solid, not incredible, though. I find an Anoint. Okay, so that's pretty good. Let's just pass and see what they do. Because I really do need to answer this Virtue. It's going to take over the game. I don't have a way to get it off the board. Game 1. All right, they get in with Preacher, which is just going to draw them a card and lose them a life, which I can definitely handle in the long run. I will trade the Preacher with my Curiosity. Sure thing. I get my Curiosity back. They find a Caustic Bronco. Okay. And a Caustic Bronco. Okay. So, do I want to do anything here? I think let's just, well, no, let's take a draw step. Tap, draw, play a land, pass the turn, and I'm really getting ground down here. I guess would have been nice to have that Preacher, but just felt like I needed to find an answer to this Virtue. But I guess if they draw all spells, then those are probably going to outvalue me. Not game over yet, though. Let's see who's getting in here. Broncos are. Opponent finds Caves of Quelos and what is it? Cut down. Wow. Okay. Let's just block since they have the removal spell for it anyway now. They let it go through because they're so ahead on board, which makes sense. And Caves of Quelos, hopefully going to slam the Virtue now. 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I'm going to anoint this bat and then cast this for both modes. So counter, make a 2/2 flyer. They have a cut down in hand, which is a bit annoying, but definitely can play through that one. Find a Dark Slick Shores. All right. Mill is certainly on the menu here, so let's get in with this. Mill them for 4. 3 lands and an Amalia. Opponent blocks. Yeah, just not wanting me to draw a card makes sense there. Maybe I'm supposed to get in with both, but I don't think that's ever the right play. They get to cut down, animate if they have nothing. This game 1 is not looking incredible for me. Yep. But hey, maybe I find another Curiosity off the top, or a Urtai could be good. Gix's Command would be incredible. But the only way to find out what I'm going to draw is to draw it. So let them get in. They draw another card with the Bronco. Virtue in a Bronco deck. Sure. So, trigger. Find another Bronco, right? Definitely liking the cut downs here. Probably liking all the removal here. They look like they're pretty small beans, small potatoes. Deck, need to find that Gix's Command pretty much this second, or I just lose. I don't think I can handle another turn of getting valued out. That one's not awful. Let's see what they do. Looks like they're just animating again, which is probably the worst thing they could do for me. Yep. Because it's just more damage in and less mana spent that I can like take advantage of. Like if they cast a really big thing, 3 steps ahead is probably going to get me a lot more value than if it just counters a 3-drop. Do have enough mana to use all 3 modes, right? No, not quite. It's 8 to use all 3. So I lose 2, they draw Restless Fortress, and what was the other one? An Enduring Innocence. Okay, so I'm going to get to counter that one, draw 2, discard 1. Still pretty much need to find that Gix's Command or nothing. I guess a Shieldred would also stabilize me if they had nothing else. We'll see what we can get. Going down to 6, that's pretty darn low. Play a Restless Fortress and probably that Enduring Innocence. There it is, so let's do that. Gix's Command. Nope. 2 lands. also good. Okay, that's 3 lands. That's going to be a concession. Let's go to game number 2. So I could board into just a full control deck here. Like take out some of my more aggressive stuff and bring in these like malicious eclipses, which they have so much removal. That's sounding kind of nice to me. Definitely want Aclazots. I think want Shieldred too. Withering Torment. How much enchantments are they really going to have? I think I want this and the cut down. They're probably bringing in Wraths against me too. And maybe cutting some amount of creatures. Yeah, let's try it and cut these Fairy Masterminds. And I think I like the Kaito just because they don't have a lot of stuff. This might be the only time I'm cutting Spyglass Siren. I love this card. Well, you know what I should do? What I do in the let's keep the Fairy Masterminds. I'm gonna cut the bats because they're just gonna trade with a removal spell every single time, and it's just not gonna feel that great for me. Let's go down the bats. Let's go down one of those and maybe a Phantom Interference because I think the removal is better than the counter spells here. And let's submit that. All right, on the play for game 2. Let's do it. A lot of cut downs and a bat and a preacher. Let's keep it. Trying to play the control deck here. We'll see if it works out. Opponent starts with a Duress. Not a lot of options for what they can take here. They go for one of the 3 cut downs. I find a Shieldred. It's not bad, but not incredible. Opponent is passing the turn. Is there a reason to run out this Fairy Mastermind? Suppose if I find a land and I Preacher, then they can only kill 1 this turn, but it feels like they just have a whole bunch of removal and they're sitting on it, so let's just untap, draw, pass. Not finding a land is kind of brutal, but we'll hopefully still be able to get there in the end. They got stuck on 2 for a while last game, and it worked out pretty well for them in the end. They play a Plains. Now, do I play the Fairy Mastermind? I don't think so. Find a Gix's command, so might just be losing this game to not finding any more lands and not really being able to play anything. But maybe they're holding their 2-drops too. A 4-drop would be brutal here, because I drew only cut downs and none of my other removal. Now I'm going to run out this Fairy Mastermind because I don't want to have to go to discard next turn. So let's do it. They instantly cut down it. Immediately. Not wasting a second. Alright. I'll play a Spyglass Siren. And get another removal spell out of your hand. At least it's a slightly bigger one that would kill my Preachers or my Shieldred, so saving them from that in the future, but I don't know what my opponent is doing. They have a Bronco and a Bat. Bronco and nothing, okay. So I find the land, but can't really just run out this Preacher because it's just going to get killed, so let's just pass. Not let them draw a card. Oh, gotta kill that now. Okay. And they have nothing. So probably some more removal in their hand, if we're being honest. I will just run a Preacher into one of them now. I gotta start churning through it. No point in me holding anything up really this turn. Do they have something? Yes, no? Yes. Not surprising. Alright. No Kaya, no Kaya, no Kaya. Probably a Kaya. Amalia Benavides. Sure thing. So let's start with a cut down on that and just make sure we kill it before slamming another Preacher. Yes, I'll pay the ward. Don't mind it too much even. And play another Preacher. See if they have even more removal. Do they? They certainly do. Gosh. So much removal. For both of us. I mean, that's really what our game plan has turned into. Okay, they have a bat. Sure thing. Take the Anoint, I assume. Or the Shieldred, maybe? I really don't know. This Gix's command is hopefully going to get me a lot of value. Probably just going to slam Shieldred this turn regardless. But we'll see. It's really just whoever draws less lands in these games is winning, because they just eventually win out on the 1-for-1 trade. Maybe I'll cut a couple lands. That'll be the game plan. No, really it's more about who can get card advantage. And they're going for the tempo take of Shieldred. I will get a nice draw in a Fairy Mastermind. And pass the turn to my opponent, who is going to get in for 1. We'll take it. Sure thing. And go to end step. Okay. Well, I will start by anointing the Deep Cavern Bat. See if it happens. It does. Makes sense. Not expecting a ton of counter magic or protection spells out of them, really. With this lineup of, you don't really want a ton of removal spells and a ton of protection spells in your hand. Just not going to have enough creatures in general. Okay, so untap. Draw. Kaito is a good one here. Let's see if we can get in with this Mastermind. Oh, geez. Happens every time. Okay, well, I'll just play a Kaito. Plus him. Pass. Definitely would have preferred to deal damage to my opponent there, but I always trigger happy on the clicking through combat. My biggest downfall on Magic Online. It's hard to do it too on Arena. You kind of accidentally attack with everything sometimes, but usually not the other way around. Opponent plays a Shadowy Backstreet. Do they have a Virtue? It feels like they have a Virtue, is what it's feeling like, really. Which, if they do, I'm probably slamming Shieldred. And yeah. Plussing the Kaito and slamming Shieldred and just getting in for as much damage as possible. Well, I guess now I want to try and draw some more cards. I guess just get the card advantage is probably better. Maybe I can find a counter spell too. But yeah, feeling pretty good in this game too. Probably going to take it to a game 3. So let's keep both of these, because anything they can reanimate with the Virtue is going to be small enough to get anointed anyway, unless they kill my Shieldred. And let's just pass. And do they kill the Shieldred? Looks like they are, yeah. That's the third. Nope, the fourth go for the throne. Okay. Good to know their numbers, I guess. It doesn't really matter. They are going to slam this virtue. Fine with me. And I'll draw the anoint. And I suppose I'll just put 2 counters, return 2 creatures, pay 5, and put them on a clock and not let them get my Shieldred back. Let's put them on Kaito, get back that, and a Mastermind, just so I have a flash threat. And then I think it's better to, well, let's see. This is 1, 2, 7, 8 this turn. I think I'd like to try and hit an untapped land so I can map up here. So let's just go ahead and try and 0 the Kaito. Gain a bunch of life. Surveil 2. Find tap land, which I'm not going to keep here. I'll just graveyard both of those. Find the untapped land. And now we can map up the Siren. Let's put that into the yard. I don't need that. Alright, they get any 1 creature back, which I don't think is going to be enough, but I guess we'll see. They're going to need to find some more removal as well. Something to kill this Kaito really is the most important thing. They get a creature back. Sure thing. 2 cards in hand. Play an Enduring Innocence. That one's not bad, but I can kill that, tap down the Preacher, and still play a Shieldred this turn. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. So what I say, kill that. Tap down the Preacher. And I guess just hold up Counterspell now. There's not a lot else that can beat me. Anointing my thing, sure. Kaito does 6 this turn. It'll do 6 the next turn. Tap down whatever they get back with Virtue. And still hold up a counterspell for whatever they might have. I don't think there's anything that gets them out of this at this point. None of the creatures gain them life, so that's fine. They get Amalia back. Sure thing. Right. They go for nothing. I'll tap down Amalia. Yes. Combat. Swing for 6. They die. Okay. Going to game 3. Maybe I want the Ghost Vacuum. Seems like they don't really have an answer to it, and eventually it'll just like put a bunch of stuff into play. I don't know what's going on in this matchup. What a weird one. I don't think I want the Malicious Eclipse. I think this is enough removal. I don't want to get stuck with all of it in hand. Let's try that. Maybe I want a Withering Torment too. I don't know. I have found blue-black to be very, very good in these mid-range mirrors most of the time, though. Let's just keep trucking through. Some very long matches today, which I'm fine with. I'm happy about it. All right. Bats I don't think are great against me. I just have so many like I have these. Just dinky little flyers that are gonna stop their bats from doing anything. Even if it does take a removal spell, it's just like playing a Pilfer that is eventually gonna get killed, so. Let's start with a Spyglass Siren. Hopefully get some value off these maps. Gonna try my best to not run into removal on them. But if my 1-drop is a 1-for-1, then it's not the end of the world. Okay, Amalia here. I will... Okay, wow. So now... I think I still want to play one more Siren and crack one map and cut down into the yard, I think. Let's swing. Hopefully no Enduring Innocence. That'd probably be the worst one for me. Don't have a way to kill it right now. That's what it's looking like. Yep, sure thing. Take 2. Okay. That kills it. Let's Ghost Vacuum. Well, do I even want to get in? Let's get in for 2. And just pass the turn. Time to start grinding my opponent out. Maybe it was a bad attack. I'd prefer to block the Amalia, honestly. Okay. Opponent goes to combat. Sure. Ghost Vacuum looking real nice here. Attacks with the Innocence. Strange play, if you ask me. I'll block, maybe they don't know how the interaction works. But, okay. So, let's just... Let me activate it. Let me activate it. Let me activate it. Okay. Let's exile the Enduring Innocence so it can't come back. Okay. They explore, which is fine. Find a swamp. Get to draw a card. Okay, Amalia, I see you. Putting in work over there. And what's the play for the turn? It's a Caustic Bronco. Sure. And? Okay, and a Dust Animus. Don't think that card is great. But let's kill the Bronco. Let's... play the Spyglass Siren. Pass the turn. I'd honestly just like to trade this Spyglass Siren for the Amalia if they'll let me. And then save my Go for the Throat for something good, and I have the Anoint with Affliction for the Dust Animus. They have 2 cards left, I have 2 cards left, but it feels like I'm getting more value here than they are. Maybe, I could be wrong, but this Ghost Vacuum is feeling pretty nice. Alright. Yeah, I guess I let them choose which one they'd rather take. It's fine. They have a Shieldred here. That's when it gets a little rough for me. Okay, they take the Anoint, which says maybe they have the Enduring card, another Enduring Innocence. Okay, they're gonna do nothing. So I'll just get my Siren. I think the goal of these maps is to find lands, unless I draw one. Wow. Okay, yeah, let's just get in with this Spyglass Siren, and I don't see a reason not to do this. It's just so good. Boom. Do that. Let's crack a map while I can. Find an underground river, and now I'm feeling very ahead, very in control of this game. They play a Dust Animus, sure thing. Not the scariest card here, honestly. Let's see what else they have. Exercise on my Curiosity. That one's good. That one is pretty darn good. And more. And a Preacher. Wow, okay. That's a pretty good turn for them overall. Let's just take that Bronco. Don't find a removal spell here. So I can just go ahead and crack the Ghost Vacuum, or I can wait a turn on it and get even more stuff. Yeah, let's probably wait a turn on it. Probably kill this Preacher. And I guess draw a card. Let's just draw the card now. Sack a token, draw a card. Find an Enduring Curiosity. So let's play the land tapped and pass the turn with the plan of go for the throating this Preacher, and then next turn popping the Ghost Vacuum and getting a ton of value. All right, you may go to combat. Nothing more, though. You can't attack. You're in combat, though. Hope it makes you happy. Okay. So, Dust Animus is getting in. Makes sense. Don't really have any good blocks on it now, but hopefully I'm just going to get enough value in the next couple turns that it won't matter. And I am going to have a lot of chump blockers, so it's going to take a while for them to kill me with that. They find a Swamp. So Amalia drawing a couple cards this game. Not looking terrible, but not looking great either. Let's get that Preacher into my... Oh, I guess I have a Death Toucher now too. And I draw a Cut Down. Wow, okay. Let's just pop the Vacuum. Sucked up a lot of ghosts into that thing. So yeah, let's get them all out. Attack with these two. These are all token copies? No, they're not token copies. So what does this do? Return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. And they all have flying too. Okay, so I'm definitely blocking that Dust Animus if they get in. See what they do, though. They do get in. Oh, let me block, let me block. Yes. This looks great for me. Okay. Might get a concession out of him here. Do. Love to call it. Yeah, this deck does well in the mid-range mirror. Very glad I boarded in this Ghost Vacuum. It was really the MVP. Opponent could have played better, but I'll take him. Right, on the play in match number 5. Let's just jump right into it. Starting over now. On the play in match number 5, let's jump into it. Up against Snapcaster Mage. Pretty good hand. Well, not incredible, but all right. No interaction, but I do have the Mastermind and the Curiosity and an Urtai. I guess Urtai is interaction, just not cheap interaction. Opponent mulligans to 6. Mulligans to 5, wow. Second mull to 5 from an opponent, but it happens. I've actually been getting very flooded, but have managed to win a lot of the games that I have been that flooded. Okay, so definitely a matchup where I needed to have the cheap interaction. Let's just play out a Spyglass Siren and crack the map on it right away. Finding an island, not really ideal. That's all 4 of my islands. Let's see what they play. Another Hired Claw, and nothing else. So I guess would have been better for me to play the Mastermind in hindsight, but that's okay. Let's Batcha hopefully take a 1-mana piece of interaction. I mean, okay. Sorry, this is just a very weird hand for me to look at for some reason. I think I'm just going to take the Monstrous Rage and let them keep the Witchstalker Frenzy, because it doesn't do anything right now. Although, nah, let's just get rid of the Witchstalker Frenzy. Hit you for 1, pass the turn. So they are going to get in for quite a bit of damage this turn, 5, I believe. But then the following turn, and that's without finding a land. The following turn, I have some pretty good plays. Okay. Take 5, find a swamp. That's good for me. Let's see what they have. Definitely getting in with that one. And I suppose I'm not blocking with the Spyglass Siren this turn, so let's just attack with it. I think I want to just Curiosity when they attack. Still does trade with a Monstrous Rage, but still kills their creature, and I still get the effect of it. So yeah, let's do that. Hopefully they don't have a Witchstalker Frenzy. Go to blocks. Block whichever one. Doesn't matter too much. The Monstrous Rage will get them 1 point of damage, so they'll get 3 points of damage in, and then I'll gain 1, going back up to 7. And I have an Urtai, and they're still on 1 land, so looking pretty good for me, but not incredible, because they do still have 4 spells in hand, it seems, but only getting to play 1 a turn for now is pretty good for me. Just need to find a couple pieces of removal to really put myself in the lead. Maybe a Shieldred or something. I am going to get to draw 2 cards next turn, though, which is going to be pretty nice for me. There's the Monstrous Rage, so kind of as we drew it up. Okay. Let's go to combat. Swing with both. They have a Swift Spear and 2 Unknowns in hand. Okay, draw 2. Okay, cut down is great here. So let's just pass. Let's cut down a Hired Claw so we take less damage. And this should be it. Eat all their creatures. Yum. Destroy either one. It doesn't really matter. Yep, that's it. That's the game. Yeah, so not the best draw for my opponent. 1 lander. It's never great. I get to board in Shieldred, Aclazots, probably the Eclipses, and a Tidebinder or 2. Board out 4 Fairy Masterminds, as I do in this matchup, and can board out 1 Curiosity, a couple Kaito, as well as the 3 steps ahead isn't incredible. And yeah, let's rock with that. Opponent will be on the play. This is pretty good hand against them. Just 4 removal spells. Could lose to an Urabrask's Forge, definitely. But it's definitely a keep. They mulligan to 6, so gonna be a little harder for them to curve out into it. Yeah, let's see what we can get done. Very funny hand, if you ask me. Opponent has mulligan to 5 yet again. So, feeling pretty good about this start so far, but we'll see how it pans out. Never know with mono red. They start on a 1-drop. I'm going to start by killing that 1-drop, presumably. Right, draw for the turn is a Dark Slick Shores, which is pretty darn great for me. Let's just cut that down right now. No reason not to, honestly. Just don't want to take a ton of damage. And yeah, I think I will just cut that down main phase as well and pass. This Malicious Eclipse can soak up a Manifold Mouse a little bit later. And these Annoyance are going to be good if they go for a Screaming Nemesis, but really just have to dodge the that one card, the Urabrask Forge, excuse me. You know that one card. Alright, let's anoint this. Just stay on track of killing everything and find Spyglass Siren, which is pretty nice. Let's play the land first, just because I don't want them to do this, and they might do it if they think they're making me miss my 4th land. Okay, they do Burst Lightning it, which I guess I'm okay with. Still trading 1 for 1, so not the worst. And at a pretty high life total, just need to find some big cards. So, is it the Forge? No, it's the Nemesis. Okay, that's much better for me. Let's just kill it. Boom. Aklazotz. Shieldred. Preacher. Deep Cavern Bat. Anything that isn't a land. Guess I'd even be fine with a Fountain Port. Okay. Didn't even matter, I guess. So that is a nice 4-1. Had some mulligans from my opponents, but I felt like I had some bad draws too, and was able to still pull out some victories. Do wish I added the Flood Pits Drowners into this deck, because they're pretty sweet. What gets cut? I think an Anoint and Urtai are the cuts. I don't know. I have another list. Maybe a land too. Not just because I flooded out that match though, or that league. But yeah, that's going to be it for this league. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.